Hey,
Hi, Ivan. How are you?
good. How are you?
I am well.
Fun.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
Me too. How have you been?
I've been very, very good. It's kind of a weird time right now with the virus and everything, but things are going well.
Okay, that's
How
wonderful.
about you?
I've been well too. Just trying to deal with this all new lifestyle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it keeps you
Yes.
a bit. Everything has changed, but yeah,
hmm
it took about a month to kind of figure out how to deal with it. But I think it's not normal, but we're learning to work with it. I think that's how I'm personally looking at it. Just learn how to deal with
hmm
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good perspective. So, Ivan, can you introduce yourself and talk about how you got into music
Mhm.
in the first place. How did you get into music?
All right. Well, hello everyone watching. My name is Ivan Akansiima. I'm originally from Uganda, East Africa, and I came here to America first as a touring musician, and then right after touring America, I got into school and I did my bachelor's and master's in music here. So how I got in music was when I was 7 years old. Several years ago. My parents, uh, one time, we hosted a band back home in Uganda. It was a Christian band. Back in the 90s, it was the most popular Christian band. And they were from Uganda, but they were based in the United States. They traveled a lot around the world. They were the first ones to write music that fused African music, American music. So they did like, R&B, fused it with African, they brought like music, Americanized music with Ugandan or African languages, things like that. So one time they came to perform in my city, my hometown. And my mom hosted them for 2 weeks. They stayed at our house. I was a very young boy. And they came 1 week earlier before their concert. They'd come to minister in a conference, and so they would practice every day for a whole week. They would wake up at 5 in the morning. They had a special room where they set up all the equipment, and they would practice, rehearse practice for almost 3 hours. So I would wake up every single day and stand in a corner and watch them. And I was intrigued by so the drama really got my attention, and so he had such a huge impact. They performed, and they left, and 2 weeks later, after they left, I really I kind of started playing around on stuff. Like just the
Hmm.
drum. He stayed with me, the way he played the drums, and that's how I got into music. And right after that, my mom noticed it, and she
hmm
took me to my church and asked the drummer there to mentor me. So he signed me up for a lesson, and the first lesson he sat me down. He didn't even have to show me what to do. As soon as he put the drumsticks in my hands, I sat on the drum kit and I just played. I just knew what to do. So he was so intrigued by it. He told my mom, I think your son is gifted. He has a special gift for music because I didn't show him anything yet, and he was already playing. He knew what to do. So, and that was the beginning of my music. And so this my first teacher told my mom, you know what, you just have to bring him here to church, and we'll give him an opportunity to play. And I guess that's how he's gonna learn on the job. So right away at age 7, I started playing the church bands, and my band played one service on the drums, and I slowly got better over time. So that's how I got into music.
What was the name of that band that you toured with?
Also, the band I first toured with when I first came to America, it was the first one was a children's choir. I was a guitar
hmm
and a music director for this choir. And so I toured with them. They were called the Mwamba Children's Choir, Mwamba, which means peace. And so we came for 3 months, toured all over the East Coast. We were performing in churches and concert halls and schools and all that. And then we went back home after 3 months, and then I came back with another band the following year for a whole year. And I toured the United States, 50 states, where this band was doing a cultural exchange program with the
Hmm.
United States. So what this band did was we did folk music, but I got hired to play with this band, second band. My job was I was a guitarist again, but I was also an arranger. I was the arranger for the band.
Wow.
So I arranged the music. And the reason why I really got hired was because of my knowledge that I gained at that point in jazz. So the band leader wanted me to arrange some of his music, infuse it with jazz. So I took some of this folk music and I made jazz arrangements. And so we moved around the country in teaching in schools about African music and performing it and music festivals and doing it in all different kinds of settings. And
Hmm.
that band was called Soul Beat Africa. So
Okay.
for 10
Yeah.
months, on the road all over the country, America and
Wow.
Canada. Yeah.
So you started off on drums.
Uh-huh.
What has been your progression of learning instruments? Because I know you play many instruments.
Yes. Yeah.
So how have you, yeah, how did you progress through? What did you learn after drums and
Okay.
so on?
Yeah. So I played drums for almost 18 years. I think about 18 years. But in the process of learning the drums, by the time I was, a teenager, I had already learned so much about myself. First, I thought I was a drummer, but I could hear music, but I learned everything I knew in the first place by ear. And then
Hmm.
when I played drums, I started realizing I could hear music for other instruments. So when I sat down to listen to music, I knew the
Yeah,
parts to instruments. I didn't only learn my parts. I learned the piano parts. So then I started kind of, playing around and say, I can hear these parts too. I know them. So I started slowly, tinkering around with other instruments. So from the drums, I moved to the bass.
okay.
And the way that happened one time at my church, I was one of the drummers, the two drummers, the bassist didn't show up in time for the service. So everyone looked around and said, Ivan, you're the one who can play everything. Can you try the bass? I was so scared. I said, no, because by that time I was playing a little bit, but at home figuring it out slowly. And everyone said, hey, just try it. So right, and the next minute I grabbed the bass, I started playing. The service went really well. And then right after that experience, I really just told myself, I don't think I'm going to turn back. I think I can play bass. I just played it the whole service. And
That's
then,
amazing.
yeah, and then from there, I progressed to the piano. And so
Hmm.
I was working with our pianist. We had one of the best pianists in Uganda, very great. And so he was kind
Okay.
of me, yeah. And telling me, Ivan, I really think you're a pianist. I really think you're a pianist, even though you're a good drummer. But I really think you're. And I used to say, no, I don't like the piano. But he would show me stuff. So and then one day, my church, I talked to my pastor. I said, hey, we need to do something for the young people, the youth in our community. A lot of
Hmm.
young people have like after school programs. So I had this idea. We can start like a community music teaching program that's run by the
Yeah.
church, where kids can, when they come back from school, they can come and do that. So the pastor asked me, will you? And I was like, no. And then when we started this program, I became teaching. I became the piano teacher. So we bought a piano, like an upright piano in my church. And then that forced me to really sit down and start learning and reading a lot of theory books about piano, general music theory.
Hmm.
So then I really began to like refine myself by reading, and then moved to piano and learned I learned how to read music by myself, literally read books. And
Wow.
I started giving lessons on the piano, and then that unlocked another ability in me. I figured I could play the piano too. And then I from there but then the number of students, too many people wanted to play the piano practice. So I kind of didn't like it. It was getting too crowded because I always wanted time to practice. So then I stopped doing that. I passed on that responsibility to someone else I trained. And then I had a guitar sitting in my house, in my room, and I picked that up. I took all the knowledge I learned playing the guitar.
Wow. So it was drums and then bass and then
Uh-huh.
piano and then guitar.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah. Hmm.
Do you play any wind instruments?
Yes, I did learn how to play the saxophone 8 years ago, almost, almost, almost 8 years ago. That was
Hmm.
the only wind instrument I tried. I can play the flute, but mostly an African flute from my
Okay.
country, yeah, traditional instrument. And also I play a lot of our traditional instruments from Africa, from Uganda too.
Hmm. What can you explain to me what some of those are?
Yeah, so one of those, or some of those, I play African hand percussion, which is the kind of drumming too, falls in the same category. I play the marimba
Hmm.
or kalimba. I play the African harp. In my country, we call it the kora, or
Oh,
the,
okay.
yeah. And then
What was the second name for the kora?
hmm?
The African harp, you called it two things, kora and what else?
Ngoni, ngoni.
Goni?
Yeah, ngoni.
Ngoni?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the kora is West African. It comes from the western part of Africa, but we also have it in my country. But in my country, we call it the ngoni. Uh,
Okay.
and then I play an African fiddle.
Wow.
Yeah, from my country. And then I play. There's another instrument called. Gosh, I don't know how to explain it, but it's basically a bass. It's a bass,
Okay.
but you sit on it to play it.
Wow.
Yeah, you sit on top of it and
Yeah.
then play. Yeah, it's a string based, five string based, but it doesn't have frets. It's just strings. So you tune
Huh.
them differently to give you different kinds of notes to play.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then I sing as well. And
Hmm.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Very talented.
Oh my.
So, how did you, I don't, because you're a musician and a composer
Hmm.
and an arranger
Hmm.
and jazz, can you, what is the difference between Ugandan music
Hmm.
and jazz?
So the difference really, so the foundation, I guess the most fundamental element in music, in all music, is rhythm.
Hmm.
That's actually what gives music variety. Among
Yeah.
elements, we have melody, harmony, and rhythm, but rhythm is a very important key, and that's how we are able to differentiate between different kinds of music from all different parts of the world. Even though we still share this a lot of similar principles, but the rhythm
Hmm.
is what gives each place a signature, and then other things build on top of that. So
Hmm.
the difference between Ugandan music or even in African music and jazz is not that big, but these two worlds do. Jazz is born out of Africa and Europe. So
Hmm.
in the history of jazz, the foundation of jazz happens in the 1900s when, of course, jazz music was a result of Africans or African Americans mashing European music traits together, and they
Hmm.
form jazz. And what Africa contributes a lot to jazz is the rhythm aspect to it. So the African, the slaves in the past who came from Africa, they brought along their music traditions. And then when they got here, they got influenced by European music traditions, which were more classical, came from Europe, and some of them had the opportunity to study, to get land and get formal music training. But because in the African music tradition, music is very improvised. Music
Yep.
comes from
Hmm.
most of it, all of nothing is literally arranged, prearranged. Everything is so that is their is how the two worlds meet, and then jazz is born. So the rhythmic aspect of jazz and African music is the same. When I first heard jazz music, I was 16 years old back home. And the first thing right away that hit my mind is like, wow, this music sounds the rhythm, all African rhythms. I could trace all the rhythms to all the different tribes and all the,
Oh, really?
yeah,
That's amazing.
right away. I said, this is our rhythm. These are all rhythms from Africa. So I was so fascinated. I said, but how is it? But then when I listened to the harmonies and the melodies, a little bit advanced, a little bit further, I could tell those
Huh.
were more from a different part of the world. But the rhythm was all African. And I think so the difference
Mhm.
between music and jazz is not it's not rhythmic. It could be mostly melodic and harmonic. And of course the
Yeah.
texture, different instruments we use to
Hmm.
play music. Yeah.
Yeah, this is really interesting. Okay, so you said, I'm wondering if you feel comfortable, can you demonstrate a few different rhythms of different tribes? Because you said there are different tribes,
Hmm.
different rhythms.
Hmm.
Can you demonstrate a few of those?
Yeah, I wish I had my drum here because it's better. But maybe I'll clap something. So let's see. I'm gonna have to use my body. I don't know if you can hear it, but
Yeah, I can hear.
okay. So there's a rhythm we call cha-cha. You know, it's from Western Uganda, and it's something that you could hear. You might hear, or let me just simplify it like this. So most Western rhythms, or if we look at Western music history, or even
Hmm.
classical rhythm, everything is straight, you know?
Yeah.
Thing is, for example, if I play two eighth notes, I'm going to play it in a more westernized approach, a straight approach, and a more Africanized approach, which is more, a little more syncopated, you know.
Hmm.
And so if I did 1 and 2 and oh and 1 and 2. Now if I took the eighth note and maybe did it in an F more like back home, I'll say 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. I'll cut out some of the ands on some of the notes and emphasize only certain points. So for example, 1 and 2, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and it's really better if I had a drum. I wish I had something here with me. But
It's good though. It's good.
yeah,
I get what you're saying.
exactly. So it's really more on the shift is in how we are playful with rhythm. We emphasize
Hmm.
the more weaker points. Uh,
Yeah.
Whereas in more Western formal music rhythmic concepts tend to emphasize the strong points. But
Hmm.
syncopated African music is gonna emphasize those surprise, those least points in the music that you would suppress. They're gonna make those come up, more stronger, and
Yeah.
yeah, and it's very playful. It's not like straight. It's kind of
Hmm.
the wind is, but kind of waving in time and going all different shifts and directions. I think that's the one aspect about it. You know.
Yeah. So you did the cha-cha. Can you do the cha-cha one more time? And then can you show me one other tribe's
So
rhythm?
Chacha was ba, 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 ba. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's kind of like a 6/8, I guess. You can feel it as a 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, or as a 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, oh, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the different ways. So that's the cha-cha. And then there's another one called we called it Maganda, the Maganda rhythm, and that's maybe a little. Let me try to demonstrate it. Now, here's the key about African rhythms. They're always going to find a way. African rhythm relies on a rhythmic idea that stresses or emphasizes the triplet
Hmm.
feel. They're gonna always take something and add that triplet feel. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. In fact, when the way we play eighth notes, we wouldn't go one and we'd go one uh,
Hmm.
1 2 3, 1 2 3. There's always that three. Every note we treat it as a triplet feel, and that's what gives it that dancing aspect. It's
Yeah.
you can almost miss it, but when you pay attention to the rhythm, it's always and that's the one thing that jazz too borrows and uses a lot. It's how we treat
Yeah.
that eighth note. We treat it as a triplet. Uh, uh, uh,
Yep.
yeah, exactly. So that's
Wow.
one thing.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think the triplet in African music is so prevalent?
Because it's a dance rhythm. It's
Hmm.
because African culture and everything is all connected. The music, the culture, the way of thinking, the way
Yeah.
the society, community, everything is flexible. Uh,
Hmm.
yeah, our ancestors before all this modernization and how far we've come in the world, they lived on a very improvised aspect of life.
Yeah.
Everything was flexible. You had to be flexible. You had to move. They were nomad people. They moved around in search for food, for better, soil. They had to be flexible to do that, and their rhythm matched that. Even up to
Hmm.
today, if you came to Uganda, you might be. When I came to America, I noticed here everything is bam 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 bam. Straight
Yeah.
organ. Everything is people live on schedules, and I'm not saying
Yes.
do that too, but we have a more um, I don't want to say easy, but flexible approach to life. It can be,
Yeah.
and it's improvised too. We are always ready for the surprise of life,
Hmm.
and so that carries into how we even approach rhythm. It's not rigid.
Yeah.
Because that's the beauty of life. Sometimes the
Hmm.
wind blows west, and before you know it's blowing you north. So you have to be flexible, not to break. You have to go with it, so that you
Yeah.
experience. Yeah, and so that's how everything is kind of approached.
Yeah, you explained that all really well.
Oh,
I
thank you.
think I learned a lot from you because
Thank
I've I've asked similar questions to those before
you.
about jazz and the difference and African music, but you just explained that so well.
Thank you.
And I really appreciate that. I think I learned a lot from that. Um, so Ivan, because you've done so many things, I think
Yes.
more than I'm even aware of. But what has been your favorite project ever musically that you have worked on?
Yeah. So I think my most really great project that I'm really proud of is when, and this is maybe a few years ago, but I still I'm so proud that I was a part of this project. So about 7 years ago, I was a part of a team. I work for an organization. It's a French organization that's run by the French government. Basically, it promotes art and culture, music culture, and
Hmm.
art culture from different parts of the world. And they have this program where they put artists from different parts of the world. They'll put a team together, musicians, say one musician from, like, we were 7 musicians, and each one of us were from a different country, and we were
Hmm.
we were tasked to write a project, produce it, and perform it, and then travel around uh, 10 African countries performing this music. But
Wow.
the influence, the uniqueness each one of us brought on the table. And this was all because we're all different. We think different. Everyone has a different way on how they they look at life and how they approach music, even though we're all musicians. And that gave this music a very unique taste, because
Hmm.
each one of us was tasked with something, and each one of us respected each other's um, uh,
Yeah.
ideas, and so I was very proud to have been a guitarist on that project. We had
Okay.
singers too. I was one of the musicians, but we had singers, musicians, and even the engineers that worked on the sound. They all came from different parts of the country, of the world.
Yeah.
Met for a month. We practiced. We wrote new music. We hit the studio, produced the music, and then hit the road and traveled to 10 African countries. The main singer, two of the singers were from Germany and Denmark, and some. So I was really proud to have been one of the arrangers and the guitarist for
Yeah.
the project. And then I'm very proud of a project I did also years ago with a children's choir. I really love children, work with children that are talented. I always find it a very fulfilling to work with younger people, especially the ones that are talented and gifted in the same area where I'm gifted in music.
Yeah. Yep.
And so I recorded and played music with this band. It's called the Mwamba Children's Choir. Two projects. Last week I just did another one song single. They're gonna release soon. And it's just acoustic guitar and voices. And they sent me the music, and I worked on it and played the guitar. And they're gonna take it to studio and sing over it. And then,
Wow.
yeah, and then I also performed. I was featured on Uganda's Best R&B Artist. It's a great project,
Wow.
and I played on two of his major albums. I was a bassist, and I was a featured guitarist. So
What was the name of the project?
the project was called the Morris Kiria Experience. So he uses his name on all his projects. But he's a very renowned Ugandan soul and R&B artist who does
Okay.
uses African music traditions with Western music traditions too, and is a great
Yeah.
songwriter. Yeah.
How do you spell his name?
Maurice, it's Maurice. Kiria is Kiria. Maurice.
Okay. Is there a recording or a video that people can search for with you on it?
Oh yeah, lots of them on YouTube. So if
Okay.
if you look him up on YouTube, you would see some of the videos. Probably not his most recent ones, because this is almost 6, 7 years ago when I did this.
Hmm.
And the most recent recordings that I did, actually, I did a recording with Jordan. I see you had him also.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
Jordan Van Hemert.
yes. When we first met, I had him play, and I just loved him, man. I was like, I love this guy. We met at the
He's
jam.
very talented too, yeah.
And then I said, look, Jordan, we need to record some music. He said, let's do it. So we hung out. We went to a friend of ours in
Hmm.
Holland, Dwight Bill, and he has a home studio. And
Oh, I know Dwight.
yeah, you know Dwight, exactly.
Yep.
And
Hmm.
we sat down, and I wrote down a few notes for him, and we did like a whole album of Ugandan Christian hymns that have been around
Wow.
hundreds of years. And we just kind of
Wow.
and we just did it very subtle jazz arrangements. Some of them are really intricate, but and then we recorded it and released that album. But it was almost like a joke, we just kind of did it and hit record, but it turned out to be really good, and so I'm really
That's
proud that
amazing.
yeah. And we called the
Yeah.
project Uganda Meets Jazz. That's what we
Wow. Is that on Spotify or iTunes or anything?
it's on all online music platforms.
Okay.
I
Uganda meets jazz.
Yeah.
Okay. And Ivan, I don't know, how
Yeah.
many languages are spoken in Uganda, and do you
Okay.
speak them all, or what are they called? And
There's so many. There are about 35 different languages in Uganda. Uganda is one of the most diverse country as far as language is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but I speak only 12 of those. So,
Only 12?
yeah. So, in
Oh.
my country, you have to know at least a different language every 10 to 20 miles from where you are.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to need to use a different language. So,
Wow.
or a different dialect or language, but mostly language. And because of that, you are forced. I was lucky. I was born in a town which used to be the trade town, the economic capital of my country. And so, because
Say the name again, you cut out.
I said I was lucky to be born in a city that used to be the economic capital of my country. So what did it brought people from all over the country. And my hometown where I was born also has the highest American population in my country. Lots of Americans live
Oh,
there.
wow.
Yeah, lots of Indians, Arabs, Chinese, and then all the people from all over Uganda, because everyone used to come there to get jobs. And so that had a tremendous influence on me as far as language is concerned. I
Yeah.
at home, they spoke to me in 4 different languages at home, for example. And then at school, of course, school English is the main language, the official language, because we're a British colony. But
Mm-hmm.
besides, locals all mix up languages. Yeah.
Yeah. What are did you say you speak 12?
Yes.
Can you tell us what those are?
Okay. So I speak a language called Luganda. I speak a language called Luo. I speak a language called Swahili. I speak a language called Acholi. I speak another language called Lugisu. They all tend to have lu. It's all tied into the history of the many years ago when we still had kingdoms. The most
Mm-hmm.
kingdom conquered a lot of the kingdoms around. So their culture had a tremendous influence on all the other languages and tribes. So that
Mm-hmm.
influencing how everything was named. So they all have Lu. So Lusoga, Lunyankore, Kinyarwanda, and then I speak another language called Lugubara. It's very tough. Yeah, and then English.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then a little bit of French, but because I'm not from Francophone Africa, we don't really in Eastern Africa we're not in French a lot, but English
Mm-hmm.
in my country. Yeah.
Yeah. And I wonder, Ivan, do you think because you know so many different languages and as a young child, were exposed to that,
Mm-hmm.
do you think that affects your music and how you listen to things?
Yes, yes. That's why for me, all I don't. It doesn't matter how many instruments there are. To me, they all use the same principles of music. Music,
Mm-hmm.
God created music. This is why I think I know how I'm kind of amazed how powerful God is, because only God has the power to create one thing, but then diversify it. You know,
Yeah.
we are all human beings, but each one of us has different fingerprints. That still amazes me. You know, that you can even be of the same mom and dad. Even you can be twins, but you still have totally different fingerprints. You don't, and so
Yeah.
that's how music too is. Music is one from God, but it's so the instruments are just tools. So and that influences
Mm.
how I look at it. It's how I even approach all these different elements of music, rhythm, feel, melody, harmony, and all these things. How we articulate stuff, how we phrase stuff, how we write. I'm very intrigued by diversity. That's like my big thing, because it's
Yeah.
my history,
Yeah.
where I was born, how I've been raised up, how as a teenager I became a youth, and God gave me these opportunities to travel 40 countries around the world, performing, playing music, and each time is different. Each time you go on
Hmm.
stage, every single moment of the day, of each day of your life is different, has something about it. And so that has deeply continues to influence how I approach everything, not just even music, the way I
Yeah.
perceive people, the way I connect people, with people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it all ties together.
Yeah. Well said. Um, Ivan, I don't want to, I want to respect your time,
No, that's okay.
but
Mhm.
do you have anything else that you want to talk about, or what? I guess I have two more questions.
Yes.
Why do you think the arts are so important?
Yeah, I think the arts, the mirror of society is the arts. The
Hmm.
arts is the mirror of the society, of the human society. It's the voice, the most unbiased, realistic, and and truthful voice of
Mm.
society. Even
Yeah.
though time has gone, as things evolve, we see more and more the arts being controlled. The certain group of people wanting to control the arts, but you can't. It's so powerful. It's like you can't control the wind. You really can't. It can blow anywhere, anytime it wants. You can't say no. I want the wind to only go north. I mean, you can try, but still, air is going to slip out. But the most fundamental aspect about the arts, it's the mirror of society. That's why we connect with it. That's why when you listen to a really good song that may touch you emotionally or deeply, a song may be about like the times we live in right now, the times of uncertainty. You realize there's a song that you want to listen to that will deeply help
Hmm.
strengthen, help put yourself together, give you something to hang on in a song. Or the arts represent the injustices in our society, the confusion in our
Yeah.
society, the challenge, the celebration. So they are the mirror of society. And until you look yourself in the mirror, you really don't know who you are. You must look yourself in the mirror and see
Hmm.
who. And the mirror is you. Basically, looking inside. The arts are from the inside, and I think,
Yeah.
and that's one of the most powerful things. The more we do things and perceive and approach life truly from what's inside of us, then we will learn how to really live life rather than. But you see, the modern society continues more and more to influence us to understand and live and connect with life more from the outside. So that's why we
Hmm.
we continue to be we think our worth, our value, and our relevance is dependent on what's in the outside. No, the outside can only be a reflection of from the inside. It all comes from the inside. So if we
Hmm.
inside, and that's what the arts do, they reflect that, and that's
Yeah, that's great.
yeah.
You have so many great things to say. This is awesome. Um, that was wonderful. My last question for you was, can you just for the audience, because I have so many young students who follow me on Instagram, do you have any advice for them?
Yes. Um, I think the most fundamental, most important thing about, music, everyone there, young or old, is, like I said, music is the most powerful voice of the human society. And when you have an opportunity to have a passion for music or to even want to learn an instrument, don't don't take it lightly. Use it, because
Hmm.
it's a very, very strong tool that can be used to bring healing, to bring hope, to bring life, to bring joy, and to bring order in society. In society, music, in fact, music is the one thing. Years ago, um, I read something that said music is probably the only thing that can make two enemies stop fighting 1 hour to attend a concert together to experience music. That's how powerful it is. And then music is the one thing that will influence you without your consent. It can.
Mm.
You listen to it, and before you know, you're tapping. You didn't want to listen, but before you know, you're smiling. Said, "Oh my goodness, I feel like my heart is okay. I just heard this song." Well, you didn't give consent to that. It just did influence you,
Yeah.
healed you.
Yeah.
So I want to encourage all the young people, respect that passion you have for music and honor it and use it. It could change the world. It could change your world. It could really, really change your own world. And
Mm-hmm.
and when it does that yourself, it can do for many other people. We need music.
Mm-hmm.
We need music just as we need oxygen to breathe. That's how important music is.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
Well said, Ivan.
Yeah.
Do you, for the last parting words for everyone, can you tell us how to connect with you and your music? Do you have a website? Do you have, I know you talked about your one recording, but is there anything else we should know?
Yes. So during this crazy COVID-19 lockdown, the last 2 months, I've managed to record 20 songs.
Oh
I'm
my
gonna
goodness.
albums by the end of this year, because
Amazing.
I sat down, I recorded a solo piano jazz album arrangements of hymns, songs of encouragement, Christian hymns, but I did a totally different take on them, and I just wrote out original arrangements of these, and then I wrote some new music. I did work on some of my compositions that I've written over the past 2 years, and I just went through my files and say, I have all this music. Why am I not doing something with it? And I say, hey, and I got time, so why not down on my piano? And I have all the equipment to record, and I just do it in my room. So I've worked on two albums, 10-track albums, and then I do have a website. It's called ivanakansiima.com, www.ivanakansiima, my names. And then I have a Facebook page, Ivan Akansiima. I have a YouTube account. You can look me up on YouTube. And yeah, so and I live in Michigan. So you
awesome.
you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and yeah, and I play around the state a lot. So a lot of people have run into me that I know. I run into people all the time, and yeah, and I play in church too. I love to serve God with the gifts that He's given me as well.
Yeah. What church do you attend right now?
So I still, I haven't attended church in so long because of the Corona thing. But
yeah,
Wesleyan still remains my.
Oh, good. Yeah. So
yeah.
I've still been. I mean, before all of this, I
Yeah.
still play there like every other week. So we've played together a few times.
Yes, we've played together a few times actually. Yeah.
That's been fun.
Yeah, and I still attend even when I don't play. I go there. Or I have a church that I call it my home church here because it was the first church I committed myself to when I first moved to Southwest Michigan. It's in South Haven. It's called Life Bridge Church. So I go back and forth. I was an assistant worship leader there and a musician.
Yeah.
About 4 years ago. Yeah. So I still go. So if I'm not at Central, sometimes I'm on Life Bridge.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that you said that's in South Haven?
Yes, that is in
okay.
South. Very close.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, Ivan, hopefully we get to play together very soon.
We will. We will play together pretty soon. And I'm pretty sure by God's grace soon, I have so much hope that this is not going to be forever, even though it almost scares you, but I think it will end. Nothing stays the same except God. Yeah.
I agree. I agree. Well, Ivan, thank you so much. I've learned so much from you during this talk, and you've had some really great things to say, and I hope that you stay well. I look forward. I'm going to look up your one album.
Yes.
With Jordan.
Yes.
I look forward to listening to that, and then I will post our live Q&A on my YouTube channel so
Great.
people can watch it and then find your music too. But
Okay.
thank you again, and I
Thank
hope that you have a great rest of your night.
thank you too. Have a good one. Bye
Yeah, bye!
bye. Thank you all our viewers.